Oh, it's getting cold now. I'm pretty tired as well. The time is 7 AM and we're gonna go do a workout. And in this video, I'm gonna answer why you can't build muscle doing calisthenics. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. Anyway, when we go and work out, I should have a guest on the channel for you, so stay tuned. It's been a long time coming, but look who it is. He's back. Where have you been, mate?
Tired, but I'm back.
So, as a lot of people have been saying, that me doing calisthenics and bodyweight training, I'm going to lose muscle and size. What do you think? Can I still build muscle doing calisthenics?
Can you build muscle doing... Depends on how you eat.
All depends on diet.
I think so.
So if I train just bodyweight...
If you just eat broccoli, you'll be massive.
Just broccoli?
Just eat
chicken and broccoli.
just broccoli and you'll be massive. I don't know if handstands are going to put on that.
This is the question.
They'll build your core strength.
Yeah. And shoulder,
Are you going to get bigger
stamina
from doing handstands? No. What's your reason for doing handstands?
Oh, I just want to learn that skill, and the reason I want to learn handstands is because then I can train anywhere. That's the whole point, is that I can literally go train in a park and also find the skill of learning something like a handstand or a front lever more enjoyable than just adding weight on the bar.
Pointless then.
I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, unless I'm going to be a gym now.
No.
Maybe you do. This is the question I'm going to answer in this video.
I don't think you can get bigger doing it, no.
You don't think you can get bigger?
I think you can in certain exercises, but handstands I don't know. I don't think you can get bigger.
I like that you said that, because that's what I'm going to talk about. It is possible, I think, but I'll explain why. Okay, alright, I am going to explain why. I'm going to give 3 reasons why you're going to see calisthenics athletes and bodyweight athletes, trainers, whatever you want to call them, not being very big. I'm going to give you 1 solution to it, and I'm going to give you 2 things that you need to consider when trying to build muscle using bodyweight. Okay, so the first reason why you'll see calisthenics and bodyweight athletes not being very big is because one of the prerequisites to being good or being naturally good at calisthenics and bodyweight training is to be small and slim. If you're overweight and big, that's a lot of weight to move. So when you're doing things that are body weight and your body is heavy, it's gonna be harder. You're gonna struggle to do more pull-ups, and you're gonna struggle to do a handstand. You're gonna struggle to do all these tricks and skills because you're controlling your body. And if your body is bigger, you've got more weight to control, and it's gonna be much harder. Can you tell I've been watching Casey Neistat's videos trying to change different camera angles to make me just sitting here seem more interesting. Anyway, the second reason why you will see calisthenics athletes not being very big is because the calisthenics and bodyweight training community, it's not a huge focus on the diet. You see loads of videos of how you can do this skill, you know, how to learn a handstand, how to do this, that and the other. And especially when you see YouTubers and stuff in the calisthenics world, there isn't always a huge focus on diet. You see bodybuilders and, you know, every other video, it would be a training video, then it would be what I eat in a day, then it would be another training video. You know, it really does focus on how important your diet is in order to get to where you need to be with, you know, building the physique that you want. And again, going back to this point previous, if you are eating to put on muscle, you tend to need to be in a calorie surplus, you need to be putting on weight, and that doesn't really favour learning bodyweight skills, the reasons that I gave on the previous point. There isn't that same focus on the diet. You know, the other thing within the community is that they're not that concerned about being big. They're just more worried about being able to learn the next best skill and being lean enough to be able to achieve it. So again, that eating big to get big philosophy doesn't work for a calisthenics athlete. Okay, so the third and final point as to why I think calisthenics athletes will struggle to build muscle and why you don't see them being big, huge monsters is because of the style of training. So they do not focus on building muscle. They do not focus on the all important time under tension in order to break down the muscle to allow it to build and be bigger. So when you're looking at a bodybuilder, they will tend to do, 3 or 4 sets between 8 and 12 reps, because that's the necessary time under tension for the contraction and eccentric part of the movement in order to break down the muscle to allow it to build. When you're looking at calisthenics, they do things like isometric holds, which isn't geared towards building muscle, more strengthening the muscle. So it is possible to become stronger without becoming bigger, and things like isometric holds is what's gonna focus on that. The other thing that calisthenics athletes do a lot is high reps. So high reps is gonna be targeted more towards muscle endurance. So a calisthenics athlete is going to be looking to see how many pull-ups they can do, whereas a bodybuilder would aim to do up to say 10 reps within a set, and as soon as they get strong enough to do more than that, they will then increase the weight. So their reps will stay the same, but the weight will get heavier and therefore harder, whereas a calisthenics athlete will just keep going and going and going and be more impressed by the volume in which they do rather than the weight in which they do, because at the end of the day it's body weight, and their body weight should roughly stay the same. So the only way to make it harder is to either do a further progression or to increase the number of reps, which doesn't necessarily build more muscle. So those are the 3 reasons as to why I don't think you see huge calisthenics athletes. So it begs the question, can you still build muscle by doing calisthenics and bodyweight training? Well, there is one solution, I think, to that, because I do think that you can. So that one solution is to apply bodybuilding principles to bodyweight training. So focus more on your diet, having the right amount of calories, having the right amount of protein intake. Keep yourself in that rep range that is gonna allow you to break down that muscle and build it back up again. So when you get to a point where you're doing more than say 12 reps, increase the progression. Do something that's going to make that exercise harder and therefore help you to still continue to build muscle. Now, if you do get to a point where you think this is still too easy, you can do weighted calisthenics. You can get a weighted vest like I have. You can add a weighted belt. It's still body weight training, but it's assisted. Well, not assisted, the opposite of assisted. It's harder. You may argue, oh well, as soon as you start adding weight, then it's basically weight training. I mean, yeah, you can look at it like that if you want, but I'm trying to give you a solution. So when performing the exercises, definitely focus on your time under tension. So really do an explosive contraction and then control that eccentric phase to allow for that bodybuilding principle to shine on through and allow you to continue building muscle even without having to use a barbell, dumbbell, annoying bodybuilders. Okay, so before you run off and think that bodyweight training is superior and you're gonna go and start building huge muscles because you haven't picked up dumbbells or a barbell, there are 2 things that I need to mention that you should consider. The first thing is that bodyweight training is not the optimum way to build muscle. And as disheartening as that sounds, there is method and reason behind that. So when you're doing bodyweight training, you're using your entire body. And to use your entire body, you have to expend more energy in order to stabilize yourself, to balance yourself, etc., etc. Now, compare that to when you're on a machine or just doing an isolation exercise in the gym. You can just focus all your effort on that one muscle. You can even sit down and do a bench press, and therefore you're just sat there. So the only energy you're expending is using your chest and pushing muscles in order to complete the exercise. Compare that to a push-up as an example. You have to stabilize your core, your legs are then involved, etc., etc., and therefore you can't add as much weight, you can't expend as much energy on the focused area, and therefore it is going to mean that it's not optimum for building huge muscles. That's just the way it is. The second consideration for you is that if your focus is on calisthenics, but you also want to focus on building muscle, so body weight, bodybuilding, I guess that's a new thing, bodyweight bodybuilding, then you have to accept that calisthenics progress in terms of learning new skills and things is going to be slower. Your focus is going to be, like mine I guess, 50-50. So I obviously want to be doing these bodyweight exercises, but I also want to get the muscle building benefits from it. And because my entire focus isn't on the skill, it's then going to mean that my progress with that particular skill is going to be slower. That was really odd. That's the first time in a while that I think I've done an informative video. Normally my videos have been, what's the word, rubbish. But if you don't find them bad, it would be great if you would subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram, which I will put here and in the description, so you can influence the channel by my Instagram lives, etc, etc. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I have videos coming out regularly, so put your post notifications on as well and be up to date with when I release them. And I don't know, I watched a YouTube studio thing the other day, and it said to make sure that your outros are snappy and quick, because it keeps people interested and it encourages people to subscribe and interact with your content. And this is not a prime example of it. Oh, before I go, actually, if you want to see examples of bodyweight athletes, calisthenic athletes that are able to successfully build muscle by doing predominantly bodyweight training, then the three for you to look at is Stipka, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Austin Dunham, and obviously Cali Muscle. I think he is quite heavily influenced by PEDs, but anyway, I'll link their channels below. Go and have a look and see what you think. I'll see you in the next one.